A few of you already drank ayahuasca before. How many times?
I now have 27 ceremonies,
Mm-hmm. And you've been here how many times
4 retreats.
for retreats? Andrew, you?
A second.
Second retreat
So
here.
nine total.
And for Tini?
This is my fifth retreat since
Fifth.
since 2012.
Mm-hmm. Although some of you have experiences in other places, so can you tell us about, without names, you don't need to give us names, the differences between having ayahuasca here and in other places?
I have attended 2 other retreats in Peru. One of them I was very surprised at the complete lack of focus on the diet. So we ate all our meals in fairly random restaurants where you knew nothing of the preparation. And I find that the diet is very helpful. There was less structure to the retreat. So there were not a lot of supporting activities, which I find very valuable here. And once the first ceremony I went to at one retreat, there were probably 8 of us on the retreat, and when we got to the temple, there must have been 30 people in the temple. And what they had done was they sold one night only tickets, and there were many, many people who I'd never met before and didn't meet then. So that was a little unsettling. Mm-hmm. I think those are the major differences. Mm-hmm. I will say the quality of the medicine here is much higher. I was not sure what I was drinking in those other retreats. Mm-hmm. And I'm relatively sure there were mixtures mm-hmm. that had a questionable effect on the experience.
And you, Fotini?
My first experience was at Spirit Vine here in 2012, and after coming here I thought, oh wow, ayahuasca's amazing, but I don't know if I can travel all the way to Brazil every time I want to take ayahuasca. And so I looked for people in where I live, and I tried several, and it was diabolical. Even people that had experience and were very caring and really had good intention and weren't fake shamans, just couldn't hold the space, couldn't control the group, you couldn't process what you felt. They couldn't manage difficult situations when they arose. So it's not a trivial journey or a trivial cost to come back to Brazil. But after trying that many times at home, I just decided, well, every time I want to do it, I've just got to come back. So this is my 5th time, and it just speaks for itself that that's what you've got to do if you want to do it. You've got to take the time to immerse yourself in ayahuasca in a place that's incredibly safe, incredibly supportive, and that respects the medicine and respects the people taking it. Creates a very safe environment. This place is perfect, and I've tried several other, because I kept thinking, oh, maybe I just got a bad one in South Africa, and then I tried another one. Oh no, they're all bad.
What made you come 5 times here? Why so many times?
Because
What happened? Because you said, okay, it was very effective, I did a lot of changes, I learned a lot of techniques. You go back to South Africa, you apply all the techniques in your everyday life. So why you came back?
Because self-development and self-growth is an ongoing process, and when you work on yourself and you resolve a problem, and at first you think, if I could just solve my relationship issues, my life would be fine. And then you manage to do that, and it's a miracle that I met my husband 3 months after first coming to ayahuasca. And I thought, oh, then life is fine. But then actually you realize that there are layers of, you get deeper and deeper and deeper, and you start to understand yourself more and more and more. And you also start to, instead of externalizing problems in the world, like, oh, I need a relationship, you actually realize that you have to go inside into yourself and do the work inside for yourself, for your own soul, for your own being, for your own existence, for your understanding of who you are and why you're here. And those are subtle layers, and that need a lot of attention and a lot of focus and and life is an ongoing process. You always hit new challenges, and ayahuasca really does give you amazing insights. It is not it's not a party drug. It's not something that you take because you want to have a good time. It's not always a good time. I mean, I always wonder sometimes, because sometimes it can be really hard, and you think, oh, I'm going back to do this hard thing again. But the gifts it gives you are so unbelievable that it's really worth going to that place.
So we can say that each time we gain a little more consciousness.
That's
And when
perfect way to
have a little more consciousness, we discover another layer of obstacles, blockages. So we remove all of that, we work on this, and then we have more consciousness, another layer.
That's the perfect way to put it. I'd say, because, I mean, generally with ayahuasca, the more you take, the less you need to take, which is very strange for any chemical substance. And this time when I came here, I had to take more than I've ever taken before. And I realized that there was some really big block, some really big resistance inside me to go to a place that was really difficult, because I was looking at who I am rather than just my relationships or just this. And that required a lot of work. And so to get to that next layer of consciousness, as you put it, which is perfectly put, you have to break through. It's another breakthrough. It's another breakthrough and another breakthrough. Everyone's a work in progress.
So this retreat we have 5 ceremonies. 4 ceremonies you need to drink a lot, and the 5th ceremony with just half of the dose you had a very powerful journey.
It's incredible. I mean, Angus weighs twice as much as I do, and I was drinking almost as much as he was. I mean, I'm 48 kilos, he's 100. And we were taking the same dose, and it was very mild for me. I'd have insights. You always have insights. You always learn something, but it was never what I had before. And I thought, I wonder what's blocking me. And through the workshops, and through the very generous sharing of other participants. I mean, people share very generously of what's happened to them in their life, and processing that and learning about that and learning about myself and discussing things with you and with Tio. You suddenly start to break down the resistance, and then half a dose had a magical effect. I mean, a spectacular effect, and that's the intelligence of ayahuasca. I think it's intelligent. It knows. It cleans you out and then can free you. It literally frees you. It releases you.
And Andy, you had experience, but only here. You didn't drink ayahuasca in other places. So why you came back?
Browbeaten. Kidding. I would say, well, the first time I came because Ed went, and then David, and just had such a great, profound experience.
You have family members that came here before.
So, and then, the thing was, I was in a really dark place, kind of just with my OCD issues, and just kind of pissing everybody off just for being me, I guess. And then after a while, you just get to a point where you're just like sick of yourself, because you don't even know how to fix. It's like you feel like you're just against a wall. You don't know how to fix yourself. You feel like you're just constantly being condemned for everything. And then you start to say, well, is it me? Is it you? And usually you want to project it onto somebody else. And so it took some like deeper soul searching-ish, although I don't go that deep. And then so I thought, well, hell, let's just give it a whack. And then wanted to go by myself, very specifically, even though I had friends that wanted to come with me, and I was just like, I don't want anything to do with anybody. I just wanted to work on myself. So I came here. It was really tough initially. Obviously, the sharing is like the hardest thing for me, but and I think I had a big thing out of that. But I think the takeaway for me specifically was going through the whole exercise. I didn't really get much. The visions and everything were like amazing, but there was no like food for thought. It was just kind of like whatever happened was post ayahuasca. And that's literally the day that everything ended, and it's like things actually changed my life. So I think that the fixing is something that happened for me was not, like some people have revelations right on the spot, like I'm gonna stop eating meat, or I'm gonna be a vegan, or I'm gonna do this, or stop alcohol. None of that. But for me, it just sort of like it's like something just connected without even realizing it. And then this go around, so the motivation for coming back was like, wow, if that worked, then maybe there's more goodies that I can unravel, without having to do much other than kind of drink that putrid tasted thing. But the experience, and then to complement that, so this time it was easier to talk. So I feel like things are starting to happen again without even asking for it. My intentions aren't really being answered, but the things that I'm not really intending on are being addressed, which is really cool. So, yeah. So I think no matter who you are, you'll get something out of it. Sometimes you don't even realize it's going to happen, but it comes. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, sure. The new ones.
The new ones.
The new ones.
Yes.
What made you come here?
So I've been interested in ayahuasca for a few years, and Mark, my husband, was going through a very difficult time recently. Not so much this year, because obviously we've planned it quite a long time in advance, but maybe a lot of last year and then into this year. And I felt really strongly that we should come. So I did a lot of research and found Spirit Vine. And everyone I've spoken to that's been here before, because we haven't been anywhere else, said, well, you really lucked out, for a first experience. There really isn't anywhere better to come. And it's been, the whole experience has been way beyond my wildest expectations. And it's the most wonderful environment. I felt totally safe. And the workshops and everything has meant that I understand the whole process. And my first two experiences were very, very good. Wonderful. However, it wasn't until the third ceremony, where I had the most profound experience of my entire life. And and I've heard that people say you have your life pre-ayahuasca and post. And I was even told that I was stepping into my post-ayahuasca life on whichever day that was in the last 11 days, which was our third ceremony in the morning.
Angus, what was your motivation to come here?
I've done years of therapy for various issues, confidence, anxiety type things. And, I was getting somewhere, but I read or heard from about Gabor Mate as well, advocating the use of ayahuasca to work through personal issues, and that's definitely what turned me on to the potential, and so I started researching and came upon this retreat.
Why here?
Here in particular because it seemed through the reviews that I was reading a standard of professionalism that was beyond the other retreats. And the other retreats, they seemed very, not corporate, but very business-like, whereas here is a non-profit center, and it seems more down to earth and about the medicine itself than it is about making money, which is just what I read from some of the other retreats. I felt very safe the entire time. This place is just beautiful. It's divine, really. I see it as sacred now. I felt very safe the entire time, knowing where it came from, knowing all about it, your decades of expertise in the area, level of professionalism that's shown here by you and all your staff.
Was somebody coming?
No, just a bird.
I'm there. You're there.
So one thing I wanted to mention was that the medicine is very powerful, and I had very amazing experiences, but it struck me that it's so gentle. It brought me into ceremony so gently, and I very much appreciated that. And it combined very well with the outdoor ceremony, which was also very gentle and absolutely amazing. And initially, my first time when I was going to go outside, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. And I did very much, and the last one this time was spectacular.
Could I add to what Mark's saying? Just to add to what Michael, apologies to what you're saying. Right. The meditation and the introspection that's granted during the experience is in a way that's safe. You're safe to explore your past traumas and issues that you've been having in a way that therapy can't match. and I think that's part of how gentle it really is. I think that's testament to how gentle it is.
Just one more thing. I think it's worth. We haven't really talked much about the fifth journey outside, and I think I found that to be completely magical. You know, I loved being. I slept really, really well the night before, so I went into the journey like full of energy and alert and felt great. And then the mystery dose really helped me. That was enormously helpful, so thank you for that.
So the mystery dose is that he didn't want to know how much I was going to give him, and you too, Michael, and works perfectly. Yeah, because sometimes people are too worried, about how much it was too less, too much, and
that's perfect.
I think mystery doses is the way forward, actually.
And I had an incredible experience, just really, really connecting with insects, trees, plants in a detailed way, and just really seeing them and feeling them in a way that I don't normally.
Did you enter in the pond?
Yeah. I enjoyed that. It wasn't the best part for me. It was nice. And I had an interesting experience when I was swimming. I had my fingers apart and I could feel the water pulsing through my fingers, which was kind of interesting. But just watching what was going on and feeling it was just incredible. I had bats flying around my head, and just the amazing dragonflies, the pink and the blue dragonflies, and the acrobatic show that the bats did on the pond. That was just phenomenal. And that tree out there, that palm tree, I can see now. I'm going to take a video of that because it was just dancing and doing this amazing manta ray dance that it does anyway, but it just was really performing, and it went into the purples and blues, and it's just magical, that tree. I love.
I saw the photo, and I was going to thank you for the photo before we left.
But look at it now.
Yeah.
It doesn't do the tree justice. It's amazing.
Very happy for the photo. Send me what you do before you leave, any additional stuff. But I'm really happy for that photo.
What is amazing is that it is always here. We don't pay the attention, or we are busy with other things.
Right.
So when we open and we unveil, it's amazing, the power of the nature and all these creatures.
Loved it.
Beings, different beings, and it's so loving, the possibility to feel this, but we can feel the same every day.
Very special.
This is a challenge to bring this to our everyday life.
I wanted to say something that maybe is on some people's mind, but when I first came here, I told my family and friends I was going to Brazil, and most people, I couldn't tell them what I was coming to do. I said, no, I'm going bird watching in Brazil, because I often travel to go bird watching, and then we come back and say, how was the bird watching? It was great, saw lots of birds. And you don't feel, because there's a sort of stigma possible attached to doing, drugs, and that this is something that's wrong or illegal in some places. I mean, over here, where we're doing it's not illegal, so you're not breaking the law. But there is that kind of initial fear of this is against what normal people do, and you can't share it. And after you realize that you're not just taking drugs in the jungle, you actually are taking is soul medicine. It's and you want to encourage everyone who has the wish to go deeper, to take it. It really is something that initially I battled with, and now I've completely overcome it, except for my mother.
Well, ayahuasca is not good for everybody, so we are very careful accepting applications, because some people cannot drink ayahuasca because they are taking medicines or they have psychiatric problems. So for the right people is a wonderful experience and very transformative, but not for everybody, and that is very important. But for the ones who are ready and want to explore and to be free of the old patterns, is an excellent method in the right set and setting.
I would also add one thing too, and ayahuasca is probably the motivator for people to come here, right? Because that's what you hear, and it's kind of like the unknown. But what you bring to the table really complements that, because you're bringing a lot of education from a psychotherapist perspective, into sharing. It's just like you complement that whole experience, right? And you don't get that. Most people are in it for the dollar, as you pointed out, and you're not coming here for that. I mean, you have love and passion, and you really enjoy seeing people get better.
Yeah,
So that's
but it's not only
amazing.
for the psychological world, my education, because I did a lot of training in
Right.
other disciplines, in spiritual disciplines, like for example, mediumship development, and I did several years of the 4 ways of Gurdjieff. So it's an integration of techniques, shamanism, that I put together over the years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. You have the education. You've been in it. You've done ayahuasca. You know what it's about. And in addition to whatever the other ones are that you did, so you bring all this knowledge, right, with education, and you're able to bring it all together in a
What
nice
I
little
want
package.
is to teach each of you to apply the techniques and to continue doing it once you go home. How you do, not only to apply the techniques here. No, what can I do when I go home?
I've done it.
Yeah, and to understand the process, why I have to do this, what I can get doing that. It's not a mystery thing that I don't know how they are doing it, or to depend on somebody. We can do it. We have power to do it.
I've packed my psychic vacuum in the suitcase.
Isn't that Sylvia's psychic vacuum?
Well, I think we all got one, didn't we? Didn't we get our own?
Complimentary gift.
I'm not taking Sylvia's.
That is a technique what we apply here. I created that technique.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
The cosmic
Works.
vacuum.
Yeah,
But if you want to know what it is, you
cosmic
have to
vacuum.
come here. Any of you would come back?
Yes.
Who will come back?
Only if you
Full
have
house.
a month-long retreat.
Okay. Anyone would like to add something?
I'd like to say a big thank you again.
Oh,
to
yes.
Sylvia.
Thank you to all of
Amazing.
you.
Yeah.
Have a
Theo,
wonderful
thank you very much.
stay in Itacaré. Thank you.